I want every single American living in this country right now to understand this is your government. The majority of those slaughtered in that airstrike were little girls in elementary school. In total, according to the New York Times, 175 people gone, slaughtered because of the US's actions.
Did the United States bomb a girls' elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war and kill 175 people?
In my opinion, based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Higseth? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Still investigating.
But the only side that targets civilians is Iran.
Well, despite President Donald Trump's denials, mounting evidence shows that the United States was in fact responsible for slaughtering 175 people, mostly little girls, by the way, at an elementary school in Minab, Iran. In fact, it was part of the opening salvo as the war against Iran started. And Trump tried to blame it on the Iranians, saying that it was an Iranian missile. The evidence does not bear that out. And in fact, Iran hadn't even responded to the US strikes until hours afterward.
I don't know what's more compelling, Anna, the video we're about to show that proves it definitively, or Hegseth not backing up Trump immediately, right? So anyway, in the video, there's a Tomahawk missile for sure. We'll explain why that's so relevant in a second. But you notice Hegseth was like, they're not confirmed. And the Iranians are the only ones that hit innocent civilians. That's basically saying, I can't even back up that lie, because that lie is so crazy and outrageous. It's definitely us.
So the footage that Cenk is referring to was published by the New York Times. It was obtained by Bellingcat and confirmed by the Times, which is why they reported on it. And it does in fact show a Tomahawk missile, which only the United States has. Israel doesn't have it, Iran doesn't have it. Only the US has these Tomahawk missiles, and it shows the missile striking a building described as a medical clinic in the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps base. Now that base is right next to the girls' school, so that was indication that that area was under attack by the United States. And then there's more evidence showing a Tomahawk missile hitting the actual girls' school. So a body of evidence assembled by the Times, including satellite imagery, social media posts, and other verified videos, indicates that the Sharjara Tayyebe elementary school building was severely damaged by a precision strike that occurred at the same time as the attacks on that naval base, okay? Again, a Tomahawk missile was used in that strike. As the camera pans to the right, large plumes of smoke, Plumes of dust and smoke are already billowing from the area around the elementary school, suggesting it had been struck shortly before the strike on the naval base. This is supported by a timeline of the strikes assembled by the Times that shows the school was hit around the same time as the base. Now there is other evidence that bolsters the fact that the US carried out this strike against the school. Honestly, this is my speculation. My speculation is that the US is relying on AI in order to determine which buildings to strike. And that school, that building, used to be part of a military base. It no longer is. It hasn't been since 2016. But if they're relying on AI, did the AI rely on outdated information in order to determine that building was worthy of a strike? I don't know, but that's my speculation. Now, other evidence that the US was behind the attack includes General Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who said during a press conference on Wednesday of last week that US forces were carrying out strikes in southern Iran at the same time the naval base and the school were hit, right? So he shows a map of the area, which I don't know if he did it unwittingly, but it definitely proved the US was doing strikes in that area. A map he presented showed that an area including Minab had been targeted by strikes in the first 100 hours of the operation. Now, with that in mind, Trump was confronted with the fact that a Tomahawk missile hit the school. The US is the only country that has the Tomahawk missiles. So how did he respond to that question? Let's take a look.
You just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a Tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation. But Tomahawks are used by others, as you know.
I want every single American living in this country right now to understand this is your government. Okay, the majority of those slaughtered in that airstrike were little girls in elementary school. In total, according to the New York Times, 175 people gone, slaughtered because of the US's actions. It is so disgusting and so shameful that the US did that. But what's even more disgusting and shameful is that our government got dragged into this war. Trump got dragged into this war against Iran like a little bitch on behalf of a foreign country, Israel. Israel is a liability to the United States of America. We need to decouple immediately. Go ahead, Cenk.
Yeah, that was super embarrassing when they said, "Why are you the only one saying that it wasn't us?" He said, "Because I don't know what's going on." That was a stunning admission. Then why did you say that it was the Iranians if you don't know what's going on? His natural instinct is to lie at every turn, right? He just can't help himself. Whose fault was it? Not mine. Must have been Iran. And they're like, okay, no one else uses Tomahawks. He's like, and everybody uses Tomahawks. He just can't stop lying. He's incorrigible. And having a president like that, obviously it's an enormous problem. If your president can't ever tell the truth, how do you know when something is real and not real? Are we really gonna have tariffs? Are we really gonna stay in the war? Are we really not gonna put in ground troops? There's no way of knowing because the president is a pathological liar. So, okay, now I'm gonna give ironic credit here to a conservative, and that's Laura Ingraham. Now, it's a little ironic because most of the conservatives are pushing for the bombings and stuff like that, right? But I like to give credit where credit is due, even to people that I mainly criticize, okay? Did it earlier in the show for New York Times and CNN, so I'll do it for Ingraham. She's now put out several times on X. No, we have to investigate this. We can't just let it stand. Like, this isn't right, and we can't have this be normal. All right, thank you, Laura Ingraham, for the first time ever. I'll give you credit on that one. Yes, this isn't America. This isn't normal. Maybe the Israelis slaughter schools, and not maybe, they do slaughter schools and hospitals on a very regular basis. In fact, they destroyed every school and hospital in Gaza. And just because they're our theoretical ally and they dragged us into this war, we should not start acting like that. We're supposed to be the shining city on a hill. No, when America, I would hope, accidentally killed those girls, there should be a clear investigation, an apology, or whatever it takes. It doesn't mean that you can make it totally right. You can never bring those girls back and you can't make those families whole, right? But at least for us to say to our own citizens, hey, we're sorry, we gotta do better than that. We didn't mean to do that on your behalf, because that's not what America stands for.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.